Did you like that accent?
Dude, oh god, I was like giggling to myself as damn the hemorrhoid boy was going.
Damn the hemorrhoid boy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of the 40k Badcast, where we are bad at 40k, and you can too. My name is Dan Boyd, and I'm joined, as always, by my extremely talented and wonderful co-host, Campbell McLaughlin. Campbell, how the heck are you?
I am bad.
At 40k?
Yeah, I guess you could answer that question that way.
What's wrong?
More shoulder shit. I don't need to talk about my medical garbage.
No. Is your body hurting?
Yeah, my body is hurting.
What's wrong with your body?
Same shit that was wrong with it like 6 months ago. It just decided to come back.
Oh my god, Campbell, I'm so sorry.
Dude, it's the worst, man. It's the fucking worst.
Should we get you a new shoulder?
I would love one. My fucking Citadel Fine shoulder over here is trash.
Oh no. That's good. That's funny.
Full of holes.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
What are you gonna do?
You were posting this week of shit that you had finished.
Yeah, no, I'm still working on stuff, and I'll talk all about that as we move on into what we've been painting and playing.
The Auspex, it's here. It's time to look at what's on our hobby radar, and go ahead, man. What's going on?
Just today, I put out a new Camphammer video on how cool bases are, and you guys can all watch that if you so choose.
I already watched it. It was good.
But you didn't think my overview was a little too basic?
Oh!
God, you
yes.
check the pH level of that joke, because it was also pretty basic.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. Was that 3 base jokes like in rapid fire right there?
Yeah, that was some compounded basing right there.
Oh my god, you are making me not want to do this podcast anymore.
You're welcome.
It's a good video. It really is. Bases, as at least you and I definitely agree, are pretty important, and putting even a little bit of effort, which is what I do with my bases, is minimum fucking effort, makes the models look a whole lot better.
Base makes the man. So aside from that, I also paint up a land speeder for my Black Templars, which actually was pretty fun to paint. Honestly, I bitched about painting fast tag choices last episode, but I actually liked painting it. It was kind of fun, and I magnetized it so I can just pop it on and off the stand, and I almost wrapped up painting that Contemptor from that I got for buying a dude a shot at Nova. I've finished everything except for the Assault Cannon, or rather the multi-melta, because I want to do that for a painting tutorial on how to do heat staining on Camhammer that'll be coming out within the next 2 weeks or so.
You could do heat stain on both of those weapons, really.
Yeah, I already did in the Assault Cannon. I'm just saving the multi-melta just for that.
Very cool.
Yeah, so what you been painting?
My intercessors. I'm like 99% done. I just got to do corner highlights and decals and finish up the bases, and I'm done with my second unit of Raven Guard intercessors, which I am very, very happy with, despite the models there's only really 3 models in that squad of 5, but whatever, it's cool. They look very good. It's taken me a while to do these, but not as long as the last unit of intercessors, and I think part of that is just because they're not the most interesting of the Space Marine choices. I'm doing aggressors next. Nice. And I'm very excited to get to work on those guys.
Nice. I traded my aggressors with the guy for my Guild Ball box that I got with my Nova bag.
You traded for more aggressors or for more Guild Ball?
I traded Guild Ball for aggressors.
Now, see, that's a trade that I want to do.
Yeah. Well,
I got 2 Guild Ball boxes. I could get potentially many boxes of aggressors. I gotta get rid of those things.
Put out some feelers in your local community. Guild Ball's cool, but Space Marines are cooler.
You know, that's right. So I'm working on those. They're looking really good. My problems with edge highlighting are all still the same. It just takes forever, especially when you do 3 layers like me, because I'm dumb.
But every one you do after the first one just takes a little bit less time.
It's true. It's that first layer of Eshin Gray is brutal, man. It takes fucking forever. But the second layer is fucking pretty cheap, and the third layer is just corners, and so it takes just a few minutes per model. But I got some micro sol and micro set for the transfers, and I've never used them before, but some goons on the Something Awful forums put me right on how to use them, and I'm excited to make my transfer game look even better.
Dude, I use those in every transfer I use pretty much without fault. I love that stuff. Both are great thingies.
So yeah, I'm very happy with how this is going. I think, Campbell, I honestly think I can make the Adepticon deadline for 2,000 points of Raven Guard.
That's ambitious, but I'm behind you.
I think I can do it. I decided that I was going to make a Vanguard strike force first. Mm-hmm. So after these intercessors are done, I'm going to do the aggressors. Then I'm going to do a squad of reavers. Then I'm going to do the Gravest Captain. Then I'm going to do another squad of reavers. This is all stuff that I got for the aggressors and the reavers from Nova Open.
Yeah.
And at that point, 1 unit of aggressors, 2 units of reavers, and a captain is a Vanguard detachment.
Nice.
And I'm going to start using that, add it to my Imperial Guard so I can play games with Primaris Marines.
Very cool.
Get a little practice in. I'm excited about that because I'm going to strike from the shadows a lot with those fellas. And nice. I think I'm going to do grav shoots on my reavers. I think they look cooler.
Yeah, the grappling hooks are kind of hilarious, though.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I like the little veins coming off the back of the thing.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna go grav shoots.
I
think it's more Raven Guardish too.
Yeah, I'd agree. But pro tip on those: use plastic glue just to attach those little grav shoot nubbins. I don't care if you use plastic glue or not. Normally, those pieces are too small and fiddly. You want them to melt to those backpacks, or they're gonna snap off left and right. All right, I got the old Emperor's Champion model that's holding the sword in 2 hands. That's from like the Armageddon Codex, and that came out. I don't even know what I'm going to do with him because I can only use 1 Emperor's Champion per army, but he's fucking cool, so I'll paint him up.
You got a fucking lieutenant then. That's what you did.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I bought the skulls box.
Oh, nice.
The one with like 340 skulls in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've just basically opened that and looked at it and gone, oh, this is fun, and put it back. Maybe someday I'll regrout my bathroom with the little skulls. Who knows? But also at Nova, I went to the Forge World booth and I bought the Black Templar's Venerable Dreadnought because that model's fucking cool. And I emailed them about that and I was like, hey, what's up? I haven't heard anything about this. And they told me that mold is currently being repaired, and while they can't send it to me right now, once it is ready, they'll send it to me, and until then, I can have whatever I want of equivalent value. So I got Gabriel Angelos in yesterday.
Nice.
And that model looks fucking tight.
How big is his head? Like, because the pictures
he's got some 5 head going on.
The pictures make him look a little ridiculous.
He's got some 5 head going on. It's a little more 4 head than I was anticipating, but I still think the model looks pretty damn cool. And with how big he is already, and he's already on a big scenic base, next Primaris guys, he won't look out of place, I don't think. Okay, so you're going for it with the Blood Ravens. Yep, and I found a decent transfer sheet online that I'm gonna be printing out in some decal paper, so I'm working on it. It's still kind of gestating. I'm still kind of wrapping up my Black Templars before I get started on the Blood Ravens. So the
careful
Ravens
with that transfer stuff, because I've done the DIY transfer sheet before, and it didn't work that great. Really? There are companies out there that will make custom transfer sheets for you with like the actual transfer sheets. Well, if this one doesn't work out, then I'll look into that. I know Fallout Hobbies does that, and they have a similar but not correct, if you ask me, Blood Ravens transfer sheet where the heads are turned sideways instead of that needle point raven head. But I could see if they can make me a custom thing if this doesn't work out. All right, good luck with that, man. Seriously. Let's move on to new stuff, because all kinds of new shit's been coming out. Before you and I go full fanboy, let's talk about some things that we don't like, and namely, Typhus. He's like, hey, everybody, look at me. I got a hockey stick. Come over here and give me a hug. I missed you so much, fellas. Come on over to Uncle Typhus and give me a big ol' hug. I got your diseases right here. Look at all my friends hanging off my body. No, it's a terrible model. Typhus, what used to be, this sucks. This really sucks because the metal Typhus model, we've said it on the show before, we both think is one of the coolest models Games Workshop has ever done. Yeah. And they went from something so cool and something so stylistic and just something like mean and scary looking to a fucking Muppet with a bunch of panoscopes and bugs flying all around it. Yeah, no shit. Like, it really does suck because every other...
like Nurgle isn't my aesthetic. Like I don't generally love the look that much, but I still thought the old Typhus model was menacing and just chunky, and he had this real presence despite just being a Terminator-sized model.
We've both gone on record that we're both Tzeentch pros, which is obviously correct, but you're right. The aesthetic for Typhus's style of Nurgle, the mean, ponderous, like, I don't know, inevitable. I like that.
Yeah, he is decay personified, and here he's just a big green Muppet.
So, and the shitty thing is, like, the Blightlord Terminator models, which they just released, I think are pretty fucking strong.
Yeah, the other Terminators are pretty cool, and actually, fortunately, one of the Death Shroud guys is basically in Typhus's old pose. So if you're a little creative with his head, you could totally just have that guy be your Typhus.
You know, I think they really dropped the ball on this one, man. And, you know, we're both pretty positive with everything GW has put out lately.
Yeah.
But this one sucks. It's just bad. He just looks like a fucking fat guy holding up a hockey stick, like you said.
Yeah. Also, his helmet being white, I don't like that look. I get maybe they're trying to make it look like a big old white head pimple or whatever, but I don't like the look.
I think that's a callback to the old Death Guard armor, though, isn't it? Aren't their helmets white?
Yeah, but their whole armor was white. So,
the Blightlord Terminators, they look great, though. The giant flail thing that one of them has, I'm way into that. That's fucking tight.
The foul white spawn dude, the single pose character.
Yeah,
I love him, and the little fucking Nurgling grabbing onto the grenade at the bottom. That guy's great.
The fucking Tallyman.
Mike Wazowski down there.
They've shown us some Tallymans. They've shown us Mortarion. Like, the line looks pretty good.
Yeah, and it's a fleshed out line. Like, it's a bulbous, rotting, fleshed out line, but it's still a fleshed out line.
But Typhus just falls flat. Really, really, really poorly. Especially when you hold it up against everything else. Well, that sucks. But you know what doesn't suck, Campbell?
What?
Is that Imperial Guard are getting new rules, and they've been previewing the new rules on Warhammer Community. As we record this, it's September 28th, and they haven't yet put out the Imperial Guard Codex or the Astra Militarum Codex, but I think that's going to come out in like 2 weeks. I think pre-orders are probably going to be up on Saturday, right?
I think that's the idea. It's pre-orders are up then, or pre-orders are up the week after.
So they've put out some new rules, and holy balls, our dudes are pretty fucking cool.
I like that they're not just a copy paste of a lot of the Space Marine ones, because like the AdMech, all their rules are all kind of meh. Like they're not inspired generally. Like even if some of the rules are pretty good, they're not terribly inspired because a lot of them are just taken essentially verbatim from the Space Marine Codex. While the Guard get a lot of really characterful, nice little changes, and they aren't all super strong. Like Catachan's having strength 4 is hilarious.
Hold up. There is one change that is real fucking strong that I'm a real big fan of, and it's that Leman Russ battle tanks, all of them, all 7 variants, if they move half or fewer inches than their maximum movement, they can double tap their turret weapons.
Yeah, that's crazy good.
So 2d6 shots for a battle cannon, 40 shots for a Punisher,
it's a
8 shots
40 Punisher
for an Exterminator. This is fucking stupid. It's awesome. I have 10 different, well, not different, but I have 10 Leman Russes total out of the 7. I am so fucking pumped to bring Russes back in a big way. I used to, 7th edition, I'd be like, minimum amounts of troops, and then all the fucking Russes, and everybody would quake in their fucking pants at how, terrifying that list is. It didn't get anything fucking done. It didn't fucking do anything, but people would still shit their pants and be like, oh my God, Armor 14 everywhere. I'm so fucking excited that Russes might be coming back.
And also, if you spend one command point, they can hit enemies on a 2-up in hand-to-hand combat.
They fucking can! They crush them! Oh my God. So, the regiments also, which we hinted at, have been getting some love, some new rules. And I think so far, it's Thursday right now. They said they're going to do Steel Legion tomorrow. So we don't know exactly what their regimental powers are going to be. Somebody on Reddit was talking about them, and we'll get to that in a moment. But man, Catachans and Valhallans got real fucking good.
Yeah, I'm first of all, like, I'm a Valhallan player, so I'm happy to see them get special rules and all that stuff, and like regimental doctrines back, because we haven't had this stuff in the Guard since 4th edition.
They get to ignore casualties for...
They take half the number of models for casualties from
that's pretty good.
Morale fit tests. So if you like roll a 6 and 6 guys would run 3 instead. And vehicles, they they degrade slower. Basically,
they count as double wounds for their profiles, right?
Yeah, which is cool.
So if my math is correct, and it rarely is, you'd have to get like an artillery tank or or really any of the tanks down to 3 wounds before they start degrading.
I'll assume you're correct. I did not study math.
Because it's 6 wounds is the 5 wounds rather. The difference between 5 and 6 is between a 4-up and a 5-up for most of the tanks.
Yeah.
So if you cut that in half, because you're doubling the number of wounds, then 3. Well, normally 3 wounds is the lowest tier for guard tanks. Hitting on 6s, moving 4 inches.
That's the middle tier.
That's pretty fucking good, dude.
Especially on super heavy.
Because a lot of the times in games I've been playing, if somebody gets one of my tanks down to like, 3 wounds or something, you can just fucking ignore them. They can't hit anything.
Yeah.
And if they're far away from an objective or something, I mean, they're moving 4 inches a turn on turn 4. Like, fuck it, they're not going to get there. But with Valhallan tanks, you got to kill them all the way.
Yeah, which I'm into. I like that Valhallans are supposed to be this tenacious, like, you cannot get them off the objective sort of army, and that does emphasize that whole thing.
They have also a sweet fucking order, too. Did you see that? Did you see their order?
Getting to shoot into close combat?
Fuck yeah, and on 1s you hit your own troops instead.
Fucking great. That's fucking great. I just wish I could order my Basilisk to shoot my conscripts who are in hand-to-hand combat.
Oh, man.
Damn true. But one thing that surprised me is in a lot of these articles, like even in the Valhallan one, which I'm looking at right now, there's new art. And seeing new art for Valhallans is kind of mind-blowing to me because they haven't made a new Valhallan model since 1995.
It would be great if they released some new shit, but at the same time, I would hate that because I'd want to replace all of my old shit. Catachans got really good. They are +1 strength, and they get to re-roll the dice for random shot weapons, of which there are a lot in the Imperial Guard Armory.
Yup.
Pretty fucking good. Not pretty fucking good. Extremely fucking good. +1 strength, whatever, who cares? But always having a reroll. So, okay, main battle tank, Leman Russ, fires D6 shots, right? You fire it once, and you're like, all right, D6 shots. Oh, I rolled a 2. Boom, reroll, because you just get to. Oh, now it's a 5. Awesome. Then it fires again. Because it's not, you don't fire them at the same time. You fire it, and then you fire it again. So you get to reroll it again with the Catachan Regiment. That's pretty fucking good. Peter, our friend Peter, Mr. Buffalo Chicken himself, he's got to be pretty fucking happy about this one.
Dude, I've got a Buffalo Chicken story to drop right now, too.
Do it.
So I left some shit at his house when we were over there during the cabin dealio.
Yeah.
And he mailed it back to me and included a nice little note being like, hey, thanks for coming. Let me know, I'll let you know next time there's one going on. We'll have a bunch of fun. And included is a little, an Overwatch token from Shadow War Armageddon. And on the back of it says, rest in peace, Emperor's Champion. And it was like, he just fucking burned me from like 200 miles away.
Oh, he's a good dude. He keeps texting me updates on his basement that he's making.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make it look like the cabin as much as possible. He's good. We should have called him for this episode. And you'll see why, or I guess hear why, listeners, when we move into our thing after the Auspex. But let's continue for a moment talking about how fucking happy we are about this new Astra Militarum shit. Now, somebody on Reddit posted, like they said they had a look at the whole codex and they posted all the rules, and I'm kind of underwhelmed with the Steel Legion rules, but I don't fucking care. I'm just happy we get rules.
Yeah, it's the first time in a long time you've got rules.
So once again, at Games Workshop, making a lot of good decisions with the rule making, which, oh, you know what? You mentioned earlier the AdMech and how the rules there didn't really work out, and I'm curious to know if that's a function of the AdMech not having that much backstory in the different types of Forge Worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like I don't know how much is really written about how Clan Garaya or whatever versus the Mars guys. Like I really don't know how different they really are. It hasn't been expounded as much as the differences between regiments or chapters, and they aren't as visually distinctive because while this guy and this guy from this house and this house just wear different colored robes for AdMech, for Marines you get like different color, different heraldry, usually some extra accent pieces for that chapter, and for guard to get whole different uniforms and whole different models.
Maybe it's a function of the lack of backstory as opposed to the poor rules writing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
One feeds into the other. Before we move on into the meat/potatoes of our show, have you played any games this week?
I haven't. I didn't play last week, but I played a week before against Feline from the SA forums. Evan is his name, and we played a very fun game up at Games and Stuff in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And I don't want to go into the whole thing, but it was his guard versus my guard. He brought a knight, and he did something hilarious with his knight. When it got down, I took off. I brought it down to 9 wounds after turn 1 from 26 or whatever it has, or 24. Jesus. And he was like, you're probably going to kill this thing. So you know what he did? He ran it straight at my lines at the at the highest concentration of models and managed to pull off an assault to slingshot it towards my guys even more. And I killed it, but then we rolled to see if it exploded. And he did not roll a 6. So you know what he did?
He spent a command point to reroll it?
He fucking did, and then it exploded in 2d6 inches, and he rolled an 11 for it. And so everything from 11 inches of that giant fucking base takes d6 mortal wounds.
Yeah, it's like a nuke going off.
We both lost entire squads. He rolled so many fucking 5s and 6s to see how many mortal wounds. It did, it took down half of my tanks to their bad profile. The secondary profile. So the game was sort of swinging big time in my direction at that point, and then his knight exploded and took out a ton of my shit, and suddenly the game was back to fucking anybody's game. So a really fun game with him. I can't wait to play again. He's a really nice guy.
Nice.
What about you?
I got 2 games in, actually.
Oh, good for you.
I got to crack out the Firmer Terror table because that came in.
Oh, nice. How'd that work out?
Oh, it worked out great. I set it up and stowed it away in 3 minutes each way. It's nothing to set that thing up.
That's fucking cool.
I played against Phil in his Astral Claws. I don't know how I remember, but when you won the dad game at Nova, he was hanging out with us in the lounge, and he bought me that really nasty shot. He brought out his Astral Claws. They were run using Salamander's chapter tactics against my Black Templars, and the game was bloody as hell. I was really taking it away, and right when I started to take it away, I started to roll shit for my saves. But at the end of turn 5, he had 2 Terminators on his side, and I had my Landwehr Crusader with 1 wound, my mostly untouched Storm Raven, a Rhino, and 1 Sergeant left on the table, and that was it. So 6 models, 5 turns.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
I had a game against Spencer and his World Eaters, who we played in that doubles game at Nova.
Yeah.
Went a lot faster. When there's not 90 plus gaunts to move, the game goes a lot faster. So we did the open war card, and it was the mission was it was a night fight thing, and also there were just 2 objectives, and if you held both at the same time, you just won. Straight up won right then and there. And so here's a problem. My army is a choppy army. His army is a choppier army because he has World Eaters.
Yeah, you don't want to get close to them.
Yeah, so I tried, and I engineered this one, he had a Lord of Skulls and, bunch of nasty stuff, and I had, a pretty solid 2,000 point list, and I basically lured everything into this one pocket, and I had everything charge in at once, Terminators, Crusaders, Characters, Emperor's Champion, everyone's getting rerolls, and I did 2 wounds with everything. And it was just, his saves were insane. My dice were not hot to begin with. And even with all these rerolls, and I even burned that one stratagem that lets you get 2 fight phases with the unit. I had to do that so my Terminators could kill his Lord of Skulls.
Oh, he brought the Lord of Skulls?
Yeah, he brought a Lord of Skulls.
Oh my god.
I did the dumb thing and focused
That's
too much
the Lord of Skulls
on it.
I killed in one shot with my Shadow Sword in the Apocalypse game.
Jesus. Yeah, I didn't have the same luck. I just flew circles around it with my Storm Raven until my Terminators could punch it.
Perfect.
It didn't blow up, unfortunately. My dice continue to be shit. His dice continue to be hot. His Lord fights my Emperor's Champion. My Emperor's Champion does a wound. He fights back, kills the champion, turns into a Demon Prince. I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. And everything just goes awful for me. And he's apologizing to me afterwards. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, man. I don't mean to thrash you like this. And I'm like, dude, compared to some games where I get thrashed, this is nothing. This is fun. And after the game, he's like, so on turn 2, you could have dropped your, I didn't have enough guys in my objective. You could have dropped your assault squad in behind me, and you were already holding your objective. You could have won on turn 2. Why didn't you do that? I just told him, and I just go, huh. Oh, because I'm bad at this game.
It's true.
But
It's
yeah,
true
so
you are.
yeah, it was fun. It was a tough matchup, but it was a fun game.
So I purchased the open war deck.
Yep.
Yeah, and I really want to get to playing it. I was talking to my friend Scott, who you know from Nova, and he was like, it was really good because it takes the giving a shit out of 40k.
Yeah, and if you do get a card that's like, I don't want to play this, you just go, okay.
So I'm looking forward to that. I want to get in there and play some completely non-competitive dumbass games with my friends. So Campbell, we should move on to our main topic this episode. We're bringing back one of my favorite segments, Fluff Divers, and we're talking about Catachan.
The boys from Planet Rambo.
So not just the Catachan Jungle Fighters, but we're going to talk about the Catachan planet itself. Campbell, I've organized this and kind of let's talk about the planet and then we'll talk about the regiment. So is it okay if we do it like that?
Yeah, sure, we can do it that way. Just
Okay.
do planet, flora and fauna, all the wonderful nature that lives there that wants to kill you. Then we can talk about the bad boys from it.
So Catachan is a jungle death world, and it is one of my favorite long-standing backstory elements in 40k, where it's a planet where it's so nasty, it's so awful that every single thing on the planet is inimical to human life, yet there are people still living there and people still kicking ass there.
If it's not carnivorous, it's poisonous, and if it's not poisonous, it's carnivorous. Or both.
So here's some demographic stats real quick to open us up. Half of all infants die before their first birthday on Catachan.
I shouldn't be laughing because that's a terrible statistic. I mean, like, I know dead baby jokes aren't really in style anymore, but man.
And then to compound that, half of the remainder of the children die before they are 10 years old. So right off the bat, we're at 75% mortality rate.
Before they've even left the crib.
This is why I love this planet, because it's so ridiculously over the top.
Yeah.
It is Games Workshop in the 80s and 90s in a nutshell. Where it's just a bunch of nerds who saw action movies and were like, this is fucking cool. And who remembered the Vietnam War and how shitty that was. They're like, oh, this is fucking crazy. Let's get this going. Let's see how fucking nuts we can make it. And that's what they fucking did.
This is also one of the rare things where like they created it during like a coked out binge in the 80s and they never went back and toned it down.
Oh, no, they've toned it up, if anything, since then. They took the saturation level and they cranked that shit until everything looked like the fucking Tim and Eric show. So, one of the cool things about the planet is that you can't really build anything on Catachan because the jungle fucking takes it back. So, one of the Gav Thorpe novels, I forget which one, but it's a fucking Catachan novel. He talks about how in Catachan settlements, they're like ringed by automated heavy flamers that a couple of times a day just fucking go off to burn the jungle back. That's fucking badass.
Every settlement has to be a fortress with like miles of probably should be paved over ground around them because the forest will keep encroaching back in. The animals will keep encroaching back in. They're like the flora and fauna are like an immune system fighting a virus.
So one of the cool things that they've done with Catachan is they've talked about some of the flora and fauna, and I want to talk a little bit about them. I got a couple of floras and a few faunas here. First off, I want to talk about Brainleaf, Campbell. So the Brainleaf is something that has never existed in 40k, but they did make rules for it in Necromunda.
Oh, I feel like there might have been rules for it in Rogue Trader, but I should go check my rule book.
I don't know about all that, but they did have actual rules for it in Necromunda. But the Brainleaf, what it does is if somebody walks by it, it sticks a sharp leaf into the person's, like, right at the base of their neck, into their spinal cord, and it'll shoot up right into their brains and take over them. And then that organism only exists to defend the plant. So it takes over their brain.
That's absolutely insane, and I love it.
So they had this in Necromunda in Outlanders, where if you got too close to it, it would attack, right?
Yeah.
And if it hit, it would do damage or whatever. But there was a thing that you rolled on a table if it wounded, and on like a 6 or a 1, it was one of the two, your character would be taken over by the Brainleaf. and then the other player, or I think it was either the other player would control it, or you both would switch turns controlling it.
That's nuts. I would probably just, like, if I were to use that in actual 40k now, I'd probably just have it, like, shoot the closest target or whatever. But that's wonderful.
Really indicative of what makes Catachan such a nutso fucking place is that there's a plant that makes you into a zombie that defends the plant. There's another one. This is another good one called a spiker. And the spiker, if you get too close to it, shoots out venomous spines that once they kill you, because trust, Campbell, they will kill you. The spiker releases all this mold spores into your body, and then your body becomes fertilizer for a spiker. So not only does it kill you, it uses you for reproduction.
That's a hell of a hate fuck right there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure those were bad guys in one of the Metroid games. But personally, I like the Venus Man Trap.
The Venus Man Trap, if I'm going to start a thrash metal band, you better fucking believe it's going to be called Venus Man Trap.
Oh, that'd be a great name for like a female-fronted thrash metal band.
Oh, fuck yes. Tell us about the Venus Man Trap, Campbell.
It's just a big Venus flytrap. That's all there is to it.
It eats people.
It's just Seymour.
Feed me, Seymour. Oh, man. Okay. We're not even scratching the surface because we got to talk about these fucking animals. We're going to save the best for last. And in this case, the best is not the Catachan Devil. And I think you know what I'm going to talk about, I suppose. But my favorite name for the notable fauna is the Flying Swamp Mamba. Which I can only imagine is a venomous snake with wings.
Yeah, I think the bride killed that in Kill Bill. But well, like all of them are ridiculous because like there's like the Catachan face eater, which is just a towel.
They had rules for that in Necromunda also.
They had rules for it in Rogue Trader.
Oh my god! Yeah, it would like if you get too close to a piece of terrain, you have to roll like an initiative check, and if you fail, then you get hit by a face eater, and you're pretty much fucked. But the face eater, like. It wouldn't really kill anybody. What it would do is it would cause horrible scars or impressive scars on the character that it face ate. If you could get a character to your face eaten character like during the game and like to get the face eater off, you basically ended up either causing fear or whatever the fuck the other one was. But it was kind of a cool thing that if it happened, you're like, oh. Okay, my guy's out of the game, but he's going to get better at the end of it.
Like, there's also, like, the Grox, which is just a thing that kind of is like a lizard bowl that uses food stuff in most of the Imperium, but I guess they're still pretty nasty, because it's a bowl, it'll still gore you.
Yeah, on Catachan, they're real fucking mean.
Yeah.
Extra mean.
Then you've got probably one of the most famously named things on Catachan, which is the Catachan Devil.
So the Catachan Devil is one of my favorite things, because at first I thought the Catachan Devil was like a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read into it, and it's actually a cross between a scorpion, a centipede, and a hive tyrant.
And a fiddler crab.
Yeah, that's what they're called. Oh, they're called fiddlers. That's right.
Yep.
That's the Catachan nickname for them is fiddlers.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're these giant centipede, lobster, scorpion creatures that roam Catachan and are notorious for eating anything and everything.
Yeah, because they can eat a tank. Their mouth is big enough to eat most vehicles.
It's a large creature.
Pretty telling that when they had rules in 40k, you could only use like Catachan Devil spawn. Like you could use like their children because they didn't want to make a model big enough, or they didn't want to have you convert a model big enough to actually do a adult
like
Catachan Devil.
If you're gonna use a model to convert an adult Catachan Devil, it'd need to be like a brass scorpion.
Yeah,
something that big.
Something about that size. Yeah, it'd be a super heavy.
So let's move to my favorite of the notable fauna from Catachan, and it's the Great Barking Toad.
I don't know. I'm a fan of the Catachan Lesser Barking Toad myself.
Either way, the Great or the Lesser Barking Toads, they're hilarious. They're just toads, right? But when they get startled or when they get like attacked or whatever, they explode.
Yeah, with this deadly poison that can corrode armor and prevent anything from growing there ever again, within a mile.
Yeah, it's not just that they explode in like the local vicinity, but it's a explosion with like a 500-kilometer radius, or I'm sorry, a 500-meter radius. So like a giant circle of jungle gets destroyed because a toad got startled.
And the thing is, it can never grow back. So I'm really curious how a planet can like sustain ever having any of these on it ever. Because over the course of millennia, I'm sure enough Catachan barking toads have just exploded to deforest swaths in entire continents.
I feel like Catachan, life finds a way on Catachan.
Life finds a way. So, all right. So here's a fun thing about all these, a bunch of these various creatures. There's an old white dwarf, number 313 from February 2006 that had an article called Creature Feature, which had advice and rules for how to use a lot of these creatures and how to convert them. So you had things like the rules and the conversions for a Catachan Devil Spawn or for a Catachan Lesser Barking Toad, because putting a Greater Barking Toad would blow up the entire battlefield.
It'd be like a Death Strike missile.
Yeah, for those wondering, a Lesser Barking Toad was basically a Vindicator Blast right around where it was.
Hilarious.
Yep. But it's a great old issue. If you can find it on eBay, go for it. If not, scans are out there. Fucking email me. I'll send you the rules. They're fun.
So some interesting things about Catachan. It is the Magus biologists of the Adeptus Mechanicus have some concerns that they think that some of the fauna on Catachan are tyrannid organisms that have gone native. Like
I think that's incredibly likely.
The Catachan Devil was a tyrannid vanguard organism that when they got to Catachan, they were just like, yeah, we're going to stay here now. Though I'm sure they got cut off from the rest of the tyrannid hive fleet, which is to say Catachan killed all the tyrannids that showed up, except the Catachan Devils, which managed to survive over the millennia and change to a different species, which I think is so fucking cool. The planet is so nasty that the Tyranids got beat by it.
Yeah, that only a Tyranid super heavy could stick around.
Though I would imagine that the amount of biological material on Catachan
It's insane.
To the Tyranids would very much be interested in taking Catachan. Let's move on, though. Let's move on to the regiment, the Catachan Jungle Fighters, who after doing the research for this show, I realized something. And I realized that I should be playing fucking Catachans.
I think everyone should be playing Catachans.
I love my Armageddon Steel Legion. I love the models. I love the backstory, whatever. But the Catachan backstory and the models don't, but the Catachan backstory is so fucking cool.
I don't think my heart could take having like 30 Catachans die every turn. But I love here's the thing, I actually kind of love the models. They're goofy, they're funky, they're from like 1997, and they don't look great, but I kind of love them anyway.
So let's talk about them. The Catachan Jungle Fighters are nicknamed Baby Ogrons because they're so large and so muscular that they're almost abhuman in appearance.
Yeah, the aesthetic, just think Schwarzenegger in Commando, think Stallone and Rambo.
These guys are, like you said, just total rip-offs of American fucking action movies in the 80s and 90s. Just total.
Oh, completely.
Just total fucking. Games Workshop was borrowing heavily from Hollywood at this point, and they are the epitome of badass. These guys, they're so tough that they don't like other regiments of Imperial Guard. Not now. That's very common with Imperial Guard, is the regiments from different planets don't really get along together. But Catachans are infamous for this because they perceive that nobody is as tough or as strong as they are because they didn't grow up on Catachan.
Yeah, they think the only real men in the galaxy are on planet Catachan, aka planet toxic masculinity. Because like bravado and like, you want to go, man type shit is necessary to survive there, because if you have any self-doubt whatsoever, you will get killed by something. Yeah. There's a reason that most kids learn to shoot straight before they learn to walk on Catachan.
Catachan does not have any exports. Except
for the Catachan Jungle
Fighters. Because you can't grow anything there. You can't make anything there. So the only value they give to the Imperium is their warriors. And their warriors, Campbell, are second to fucking none.
Yeah, they're the absolute toughest men in the Imperial Guard.
So one thing that sets them up is their uniforms are basically a tank top and camo pants.
Yeah, it's just simple utilitarian and lets them move around very quickly.
And we don't know why they get their 5-up save. We really don't. They got tank tops on, but they still get their 5-up save. They don't wear rank insignia. They instead tattoo their ranks and insignia on their bodies, on their arms.
Yeah, and if they do have regimental badges or whatever, they do darken and dirty them with soot and dirt to keep them dull and hard to see because they need to stay camouflaged. That being said, despite wanting to stay camouflaged, they all wear red bandanas, which doesn't really help that case.
No, that is to show that they've been blooded. Like,
yeah,
so like your
symbolizes the
conscripts, your
blood
Catachan conscripts, of which I don't think Catachan conscripts exist, but it's Catachan. You get your blood red headband after you've been like wounded in combat, or
That's why everyone has one,
or you've been like, I don't know, stabbed in to the squad or something, because they all carry around these things called Catachan fangs, which are just big fuck off knives.
Yeah, and it's a point of pride to craft your own.
And it's so funny that they have all these myths built up around the Catachan fang, like they're better and sharper than chain swords or power swords, and Space Marines value them for their combat knives or whatever. But in reality, they're just fucking knives. But they take the overblown storytelling and tall tales that a lot of the military culture has, and they fucking crank it to 11 with the Catachan jungle fighters. Like they don't have their given names are never used within the regiment. They earn their nicknames. Everybody has a Catachan name.
Which one's named Brooklyn, and when does he die?
He dies first.
There's always a guy named Brooklyn.
Yeah, so if you notice with the special characters, all of them have their Catachan names. They don't go by their first names. They go by their Catachan, and maybe they go by their first names when they're outside of the regiment or they're talking to people not from the regiment. But within the regiment, they're always known by their like a guy would be called Sneak because he's real good at sneaking up on enemies and stabbing them with his Catachan fang.
How many guys named Snake do you think are in this regiment?
I feel like there's a snake in every squad.
Every squad's got a snake.
Maybe two. Big snake, little snake. Oh,
big boss.
Oh, boy. Big snakes and little snakes coming at you all day. So let's talk about... one more thing. Before we talk about special characters and notable members of the Catachan.
Let's talk about the command structure a little bit.
Well, yeah. So they have... colonels, lieutenants, sergeants, all that stuff, but they don't really enjoy having commissars around too much, Campbell.
No, they go missing or die under mysterious circumstances.
They are somewhat independent and individualistic, the Catachan jungle fighters, so commissars don't last very long attached to their regiments, but what they do love is they love their officers, because they've got a couple of good ones.
Yeah, well, the officers fight alongside their men. They don't get any special treatment. They share every hardship and are respected as a result.
So let's go top down here. Number one, best officer, one of the coolest Imperial Guard special characters, Colonel Iron Hand Strachan.
He has suffered more wounds than guardsmen have had hot meals.
His big thing is he was attacked during a raid on some Eldar. He was attacked by a Myral land shark.
Yeah.
Which bit off his arm and most of his shoulder, his right, and he kept fighting.
Yeah.
Most of his his entire right arm and most of his shoulder on the right side and chest were bitten off, and he kept fighting, stayed in the battle until afterwards when they could get him a nice metal arm. Now, this guy, the Imperium has taken a shit on Colonel Iron Hand Strachan. This is one of those things where all the other commanders hate his guts, and he doesn't play any political games, so he always gets the worst assignments. And he commands the Catachan 2nd, which is, I think, the most renowned of all the Catachan regiments. And so they always get the shittiest jobs. We're like, all right, Catachan 2nd, light infantry, why don't you go kill this Titan in the middle of this horrible battlefield? And what do? They fucking do it, even though Colonel Strachan got stepped on during the battle. And he's still alive? Great, get him in the Medicaid tent. We'll fucking pump some shit into him, and he'll be okay.
He's the guy who carried a wounded soldier over half a continent to get them to safety.
He's a complete fucking badass. He has his own model.
Yeah, it's a badass model, too.
He's got a big metal arm, a shotgun, a plasma pistol. He's, back in the 5th edition Guard Codex is when he really shone as the only Guard character, aside from Tech Marines, that had a 3-up save. He was a monster in close combat and just didn't take wounds. He just didn't die. He's a problem. He's one of the coolest characters out. Just a complete and total fucking badass. He's got a friend, not necessarily a friend, but his mentor, Colonel Grice. And Colonel Grice has never had any rules. We don't know his Catachan name. He's sort of a background character, but he has a reputation for fighting from the front lines well into his extreme old age.
And old age is not something that most Catachans reach.
No, he was, at the end of it, he was a very small and frail man, but he had a friend, Campbell, a large friend.
Ooh.
And his large friend's name was Nork Deadog. Nork Deadog was the personal bodyguard to Colonel Grice, and even wears Colonel Grice's old cap.
Oh, yeah, there's actually, that was an old conversion that I think Victoria Lamb might have done. That was in one of the old guard codexes where he's holding a dead officer. I think that might have, that couldn't have been Colonel Grice. He was a Mordian, but still.
Well, Colonel Grice has since died, but Nork Deadog, who we all know as a great special character in the Imperial Guard range, that's where he got his start as the bodyguard for Colonel Grice. And Ogrins hold kind of a special place with the Catachans. They get along really well because they're both extremely large, extremely strong, and extremely violent. And so the cultures sort of mesh well together.
So they really aren't that different.
No, maybe a little bit in size, but that's about it.
Called baby Ogrins for a reason.
Another Catachan jungle fighter is Stonetooth Harker.
He's Gunnery Sergeant Stonetooth Harker.
So he's an interesting case. He's an upgrade character. Back when upgrade characters were a thing, now I think you just take him normally, and
now you just take him along.
Fucks around with his giant heavy bolter payback that he carries around underslung by himself.
Yeah, he uses it as easily as most guys who use a rifle.
One of my favorite things about him, Stonetooth, is nicknamed Stonetooth because he chews glass.
Yeah,
like other people chew tobacco.
Yeah.
He's famous for choking a Ravener to death with his enormous biceps.
Yeah, he got a Ravener in a headlock until its neck snapped.
Which is kind of a hard thing to do. They're pretty good at close combat, those Raveners. And seeing as how Stonetooth used to be just a veteran sergeant upgrade, I think he's a little beefier now in the new rules. But
yeah, he has multiple wounds now. I think I don't know if he still has a feel no pain thing, although conceptually, he thinks pain is a concept for lesser soldiers.
And if you're Stonetooth Harker, every soldier is lesser than you are, except maybe Strachan. And maybe not the next guy.
The last, but definitely not least.
Old Sly Marbo, the one-man army himself. This guy...
Ever so cleverly named.
Marbo. That sounds familiar.
Sly also sounds familiar. Also, fun fact, I think it was the third ed codex art for him was basically traced over a picture of Stallone from Demolition Man.
Was it Demolition Man or was it First Blood?
It was Demolition Man. Like, it's the exact pose of him like holding a pistol out. The picture,
beautiful.
The picture's out there, but it's really uncanny.
Sly Marbo, he like doesn't talk to people.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak. All he does is he's given a mission and he goes off alone and then does a spectacular amount of chaos and damage for one person, one human to do, and then shows back up and then just sort of stands around until he's given another mission.
Yeah, he's the greatest hunter in the universe.
Every piece of fluff with this guy is like, all right, we let Marba go. Oh, and then he blew up an entire canyon to kill one thing, his one target. And he comes back and they're like, great job, bud. He's got more medals than a War Master, Sly Marbo.
And he doesn't wear any of them.
He doesn't wear any of them, doesn't talk to anybody. Just kind of a silent but deadly killer.
There's a very good chance he's right behind you right now.
Right fucking now. He used to have rules. He doesn't have rules anymore. What with the whole Games Workshop doesn't produce rules for things it doesn't make models for, but he was basically an Eversor assassin.
With a demo charge.
He would show up. He could show up anywhere on the table. There weren't, this is back when Deep Strike was a thing. He didn't have to Deep Strike. He would just show up and toss a demo charge, which was a battle cannon shot with a 6-inch range, and then charge into combat and cause all sorts of fucked up problems with his envenomed Catachan Fang and his needle pistol.
So that being said, they dropped rules for him in 6th edition, but near the end of 7th edition, they did produce rules for him again, around the time of Shadow War Armageddon, which I guess were valid for like a month before 8th edition came out. But the model still exists. Like I don't know if they did it on made to order, but there is a model for him.
There used to be, yeah. I don't think they sell it like on the website or anything anymore, though.
And it's not a bad model. It's just, it's
a Catachan model.
The
Catachan models are bad. The Catachan Command Squad isn't bad.
The Catachan Command Squad's a great kit.
But
the Catachan Heavy Weapon Squad is a pretty good kit.
But the
Catachan Infantry Squad
is bad. It's so old. It's like the Cadian Squad, man. They desperately need an update.
More so than the Cadian Squad, though. Because the Cadian Squad still looks aesthetically pretty alright. Like, it's not badly sculpted, it's just kind of boring. The Catachan Squad is kind of shocking. Like, I remember looking in the back of the box, and they used to have the credits of who sculpted it. And it was like Alan Perry, Michael Perry, Jess Goodwin, Brian Nelson. All 4 of the best sculptors Games Workshops ever hired all made this kit, and it's not good.
It's really bad. The models don't live up to the backstory in this case, and I think that's probably why you don't see a lot of Catachan regiments out there. I think you're going to see a lot of them moving forward. Though I'll say one thing. If I roll up to a game table and somebody's like, yeah, I'm playing Catachans, and they start pulling out Cadians from their thing, I usually don't have a problem with that. I might have a fucking problem with that. You know?
Unless every single one of them has been modeled with bare arms.
Right. So there's been some cool things about that, like mixed regiments. In the old 5th edition codex, there was talking about how an Elysian regiment and a Catachan regiment got merged together after both regiments got severely damaged or lost a lot of people, and they became an expert on air mobile jungle warfare.
That's awesome.
Can you imagine? The Elysians are drop troops and Valkyrie pilots and all this shit, and the Catachan are just grizzly fucking nasty dudes who jump down to the ground from their Elysian rides, and boom. That's
here's the thing.
So
when you're flying a Valkyrie into a jungle, you don't mount missiles on it, you mount Catachans on it.
It's ain't that the fucking truth?
So I don't want to like totally just steal the content from Warhammer Community, or Regimental Standard, but they have this great thing that came out yesterday called the Catachan Phrasebook.
Give me some good stuff from there.
The concept is they'll basically have like a quote from a Catachan, then a more reasonable translation of what it is. My favorite one is, ammo, the only guns we need are right here, usually followed by flexing. Translation, I feel this enemy would be best confronted in close combat in order to conserve resources.
Oh man, Catachan regiments are the ones that all the stupid one-liners, all the dumb action movie stuff. If you're into that, that's the unit you want to use.
So if you haven't played Dawn of War 2 Retribution, there is a squad of Catachans in there that you can use, and every one of their lines is a one-liner. Like, whenever they throw a grenade, you'll just hear them go, "Good night," and when they retreat, they're like, "Get to the Valkyrie." It's ridiculous. Every single line is a one-liner, and I love it.
So one thing, I was looking at notable engagements, and they got a fucking ton of them. They're all pretty much the same thing. It's like one squad goes in and fucks a bunch of orcs up, and or a lone dude walks back with the orc war boss head or something, and you're like, all right, cool. But
yeah, that's Marbo.
The one thing that I thought was fucking awesome was during the Dark Imperium part, when the Cicatrix Maledictum opened up, it swallowed Catachan. Catachan was right in the middle of it. Yeah, how'd that go? How'd that go for Chaos? Well, the Chaos forces, the demons and the Chaos Marines and the cultists, whatever, that invaded Catachan, they all died.
By the time Gilman got to Catachan with his crusade, the party was over, and they left with a bigger army than they approached with.
It was basically like, oh, you guys are good? And the Catachan's like, yeah, we didn't have any problems. We're good. Yeah, they showed up. We killed them all. Don't worry about it. Hey, do you guys need reinforcements? Because we got all these guys. We're ready to go. We're ready to fucking invade some shit. Let's get on it. Fuck yeah,
I
dude.
heard there was a massive chaos incursion with thousands of chaos marines and demons in all over your planet. What happened? Regular Tuesday night.
I don't know. I fucking slept through it. So yeah,
ate my ration out of a chaos marine skull.
So they are amongst the most badass of all the individuals in 40k. However, Campbell, I think there's somebody more badass than even the most badass Catachan of all time, Colonel Strachan. I think Commissar Sebastian Yarrick could kick Colonel Strachan's ass in a fight.
I think that's controversial. Because, all right, so first of all, Yarrick's like 1 million years old. And he's taken all those baby-making drugs, or Sorry, not euthanizing drugs. There's different drugs too.
So try 1, baby making. Try 2, euthanizing. Try 3,
shit.
Juvenat treatments. Yark could kick his ass.
All right, why do you think that?
Yark and Strachan both have a similar issue, is where their arms got torn off or bitten off or whatever, and they got new ones, except Yark's new arm is a goddamn power claw from the orc that tore off his old arm.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. I'm not saying
Yark has a gun for a fucking eyeball.
He does have a gun for an eyeball. I just imagine that if these two characters punched, like, their fists would meet in the middle and the ground would crater beneath them.
Listeners, I want you to write in and tell us, I want you to tell us who wins in a fight. Colonel Strachan or Commissar Yark. And it can be, just write in and tell us why. Tell us who wins.
Tweet it at us.
Or tweet it at us. Fuck it, who cares? This is a impromptu, we haven't talked about this, an impromptu fanfiction challenge.
Yeah,
it's an impromptu fanfiction challenge where if you write in to the podcast, contact at 40kbadcast.com, write in who wins, Strachan or Yark, and tell us why. And if they're good, we'll read them on air and we'll give you credit.
Who's stronger, Goku or Superman?
All right, let's move on, man. We have a global campaign update. Campbell, how are the bad boys, and how's the fight between the bad boys and the fuckboys going?
Round 1 ended in a complete deadlock, with equal points scored by the bad boys and the fuckboys. For those who have not been following so far, I, Campbell, am leading Team Badcast Bad Boys, and Dan is over there leading Team 40k Fuckboys for control of the podcast. But this week, we got a bunch of results in for our not quite Blood Bowl game.
Did we really?
Yeah, we actually did, which surprised me that not only did we get multiple reports sent in, but we also got a lot of nice pictures from a report by JD, who, I don't know if you read that battle report, but it was fantastic, and I have a plan that I want to do with that one that I'll hit you up with after the show. We finally got the results in, and it's looking like a definitive lead for the Badcast Bad Boys.
Is it really?
3-game lead.
Oh, fuck.
Fuckboys lost no fewer than 3 games.
Oh my god. God fucking damn it.
So, yeah, if your fuckboys want to take any sort of control over this show, they got to step the game up.
Fellas, we need to do better. This was our mission. We could, oh my god.
Now, that being said, your fuckboys should know all about what round 3 is about, which is owning yourself. So, round 3 is sweet self-own, bro. Mission type is kill points with a table core as deployment. Pretty simple. Now, the catch is both players make the worst legal army lists they can. Now, this can't be a list with any fortifications or any army that will automatically lose. The players then trade armies and have to defeat their own shitty army with another shitty army. The primary objectives are kill points, but the secondary objectives are save the warlord. If the enemy's warlord is alive at the game end, you get +1 victory point. Line maker. If your enemy has no units in your deployment zone, you get +1 victory point. And last blood. If you get the last kill point before the game ends, you get +1 victory point. If you both have units in reserve or off board when the game ends, neither of you get it.
So this is I love this round. I really do, because it is the antithesis of competitive gaming. You make the worst list possible, give it to your friend, and you take his worst list, and you see how shitty your game can get.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one. I'm actually going to play this one.
This one seems like one you're going to have a really hard time doing as a pickup game. But if you have someone else who's up for this ridiculous scenario, please go right ahead. Send us the results in. I want to hear how people are getting on in this mission. And if you want to play the older missions too, and you want to send those results, go for that too. Contact
at 40kbadcast.com for all your mission results. We're going to have this on the website at 40kbadcast.com/campaign. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So you can check out the rules. You can check out the old rules with the old rounds. Fuckboys, please step the fuck up, fellas. I need this. I need a win.
Fuckboys, keep owning yourselves.
The fucking self-own. Jesus Christ. What a terrible. All right. We're going to come back, though. It's going to be tight. It's going to be fucking tight. Campbell, I think it's time for everybody's favorite segment of the show.
Fact or fan fiction.
That's right. Do you have something juicy for me this week?
It's a bit sweaty.
Bit steamy?
Maybe not steamy in the way the Fulgrim's Hole is steamy, but more in the way that Catachan jungles are steamy.
All right, give me something good, baby.
He locked himself into a deadly embrace with the luckless orc, denying it the chance to swing its axe or raise its gun. He buried his knife in its stomach, twisted it, cutting through the orc's guts, feeling its blood spilling out, soaking into his own clothes. At the same time, its fingers closed around his neck, cutting off his oxygen, fading his surroundings to black. A deadly dance from which neither partner would ever break. That's a sentence fragment. Lorenzo wasn't sure at first if the pops and cracks he could hear, as if from the end of a long tunnel, were those of his own bones breaking, but the orcs were reeling in confusion again, and the grip on his throat was loosened, and he thought he could see a lithe, dark-haired figure hurling grenades from the roof of a nearby hut, although he might have imagined it. He raised his fang to make the most of his reprieve, thinking he might claim another orc life, but the world was still darkening, and the commands from his brain didn't seem to be reaching his muscles. And now, Lorenzo was sliding to the ground, falling in slow motion, but still too fast to put out a hand to save himself. He was lying face down, and his back was showered first with hot shrapnel, and then an orc body landed on top of him, hiding him, and he just lay there, clinging to consciousness, his face sticky with blood, but he didn't know whose. A long time after that, it seemed, Lorenzo heard the orcs moving away from him. They were turning their attention to a new enemy, leaving him for dead, and he couldn't have said for certain that they were so wrong. It was only after a long minute had passed, and he was still breathing, his heart still beating and his head clearing, as his lungs heaved precious oxygen into his bloodstream, that he knew he would fight on. Only then that Lorenzo breathed a grateful prayer to the God Emperor for sparing his life, until he recovered his wits and realized he ought to thank Sly Marbo instead.
Very nice. Okay,
Yeah.
so I feel like as far as the very loose parameters that we have for this segment of fact or fan fiction, I feel that was actually pretty well written.
Generally, there was that sentence fragment was kind of, I'm like, yeah, sure. It was also kind of a poor metaphor, but yeah.
I think there's a little bit too much of biology in there too.
It's gooey.
I could feel the blood in my body becoming oxygenated as I pass more breathable air into my lungs. Like
Blood was in my mouth. I didn't know if it was mine or his.
Yeah. I think it's fact, man. I think that's actual written Games Workshop stuff.
That is from Death World by Steve Lyons.
Very nice. I wonder what my record is. I wonder if anybody's keeping score.
I ain't gonna go back and listen to it.
Probably not. That was it for Badcast number 18. That's it. We're coming to the end of the show here, so I want to remind everybody that you can reach out to us on social media, such as Twitter. I am at @DB_sleazy. Follow me, and I will follow you, maybe? Yeah, probably. Sure, why the fuck not?
That's a bold promise.
Campbell, how can they reach you on Twitter?
They can reach me at BrotherSRM. I tweet about things like ice cream and what the phrase Randy as a goat means.
And I tweet about baseball. Because unlike our listener JD, I like sports ball.
I saw a sports ball once. I didn't understand it. You can come look at my stuff at cam2d.tumblr.com, where I post pretty pictures of the mans I paint. You can see the land speeder I painted, or the dreadnought I'm going to be putting out there in a few days.
The lands painter you speeded?
I am just painting through the end of this episode, ain't I?
You can also catch Campbell's show on YouTube, Camhammer, at youtube.com/Camhammer Show, where he just put out his newest video on bases and basing. I watched it this on my lunch break today. It was excellently done, as per usual. I have a question for you about the video.
Shoot.
Your Lazy Susan, do you have a motor for that, or is that done by hand?
Motorized.
I thought so. It's very smooth.
Runs on 2C batteries, I think.
2C batteries?
Yeah.
I'm all about those D batteries. Yeah.
Dan's all about that big D.
You know it. You know I like that big D.
None of that middling C shit.
I want to do a couple of shout-outs. One, we just talked about him. JD sent in a hilarious battle report at contact@40kbadcast.com for the Bad Bowl, as he called it, the 40k Badcast Bad Bowl. Really well done. Really great to hear from a lot of people we saw at Nova. Just I love interacting with you guys. Love talking to you guys. I seldomly do it, but I do read the emails. Campbell reads them a lot more than I do. And contact.
I just give them the high level shit.
Contact at 40kbadcast.com. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your battle reports for round 3. We want to see pictures from your battles. Let us know what's happening out there. I also want to give a shout out to Tim Day with his Crew Shaken podcast. I've listened to a couple of episodes so far, and that's a good one, Campbell.
Yeah, Tim, your voice is soothing and velvety like a good NPR host.
It really is. I like at the beginning of the podcast when he's already got his stuff and he's doing his intro and outro or whatever, and he does the very NPR cadence.
Yeah, and it's the kind of extra close to the microphone to make it feel a little more intimate.
With some pauses for effect.
And thank you to our supporters for our annual food drive. We really appreciate all of you coming out and donating your canned food. We raised $13.17 for the Feline Flea Treatment charity. Thank you,
Tim. We love you, even though Campbell's making fun of you and being very mean. You're a great guy, and you run a great podcast. And maybe someday Lavelle will realize that Carlo's name is Carlo and not Carlos.
Ooh, ouch. There's some inter-podcast drama you're throwing out there. You're spitting that hot fire.
All right, man, you ready to get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, I got an integral equation. Fuck!
Okay.
Oh, no. Why am I alive? All right. Just fucking drama face. All right, we're good.
Do it.
We've run the scorpions this... Oh, should we introduce it? Or that we're doing an inspirational quote? I don't know if we'll use that take or we'll do this as a pre-show thing.
Campbell, shut the fuck up and do your inspirational quote like you do at the end of every fucking episode.
Jeez, Dad. We've run the scorpions the size of battle tanks. 3 men died from my route last week. I've sweat enough to fill a lake. My boots got stuck into a sick swamp, and the trees are so thick in places you can't squeeze between them. Emperor help me, I love this place. It's just like home.
And with that, we're the 40k Badcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. This is the 40k Badcast Bad Bowl by J.D. Reynolds.
40k Badcast Bad Bowl. Dan's dumb sports idea that didn't work because sports ball is dumb and stupid and it smells and its butt smells. Taking to the field, representing the Badcast Bad Boys, we have the McCragg Maulers, and I must say they're looking mighty fine, Dan. Coach Gilman has assembled quite a team consisting of your standard mechanized line, Centurion linemen, a dreadnought ball passer. Fuck it, you know I don't know sports like I know anime, Dan. Anyway, they look like they are ready to play ball, and who has come to represent the 40k fuckboys this day?
Well, Campbell, it seems that none other than Coach Magnus has shown up with the Sortarian Swashbucklers. No, wait, wow. In a brilliant move, Coach Magnus has swapped out his entire team with players from the Alpha Legion. I must say, I am relieved. I don't know how reading books is going to be useful in this situation. Either way, it looks like we are set to have a fine game of ball fondling.
Holy shit. All right. You have the next line still.
Both teams are set up opposite one another, with the bad boys parking a line of rhinos to block their heavy hitters, while the fuck boys have swarmed the ball with cultists drawn from their junior football league. Remember, listeners, it's never too early to sign your child up for a lifetime of debilitating injuries for a fleeting moment of popularity in high school.
It looks like the fuckboys won the coin toss, and on turn 1 they advance up the field, while their elite players drop down into the bad boys' end zone, taking out the Hellblasters and tying up the bikes in combat. Coach Gilman is not happy.
The bad boys respond by attacking the obliterators with the dreadnought, and the bikes crush the raptors with the Centurions blasting the opposing bikers off the field. Looks like the medics are going to be busy today. The rest of the bad boys team moves up to contest the ball in the center, pouring lots of fire as they go. The fuckboys bring in their Terminators as the Demon Prince moves forward, sandwiching the bikers, while wiping out an entire tactical squad with the combined fire from the rest of the team. No one really seems to be trying to pick up the ball, Campbell.
Well, Dan, it seems both coaches wanted to make sure their players have a clear path to the end zone. I guess it's just easier to kill the opposing players than mess with the ball.
Oh, and the fuckboys Terminators fail a key charge, leaving the Demon Prince to face the captain alone. And now the bad boys Dreadnought is moving up to intercept. But with the assist of a lucky Overwatch shot, they're able to take out the Dreadnought.
But not before the bike captain kills the Demon Prince and makes a rush for the ball in the center. The momentum is really behind the Bad Boys team today.
This isn't looking good for the fuckboys, as Ultramarine reinforcements drop into their end zone, sandwiching them in turn, while the bike captain and Apothecary swoop in to pick up the ball and rush towards the fuckboys' end zone.
And it looks like the fuckboy line is falling apart under the weight of the Bad Boys' offensive, but they still need to score a touchdown? Down touch, whatever! They just need to score, and they only have one turn remaining.
Will this week's scenario also end in a draw? Will no one become the lord of the podcast?
Not if the Bad Boys have anything to say about it. The Maulers captain uses Thunderhammer like a golf stick and smashes the ball deep into the fuckboy zone towards the Apothecary. And yes, he catches it! Game Bad Boys! Goal! Author's note, this concludes my awful battle report. Hope you fuckers are happy.
Here's a hint. We're not. Do better.